We are we are back once again with the Pop Culture Cosmos. It's Gerald coming right back at you here. Well, the major decisions came up in television for many of the shows that you love so dear. Many of the shows that either didn't quite cut the mustard were officially canceled. Many of the shows that you love that were possibly on the cut line were given a reprieve or another season. Some of them were actually given as much as 3 seasons. We'll go into that here in a bit. But there were a lot of decisions that were made this past week, both Thursday and Friday, with the major broadcast stations and networks out there making some firm decisions going forward for the next year. And here to talk with me today with her monthly TV update is my good friend. She is one of the main writers in the know when it comes to the TV rating scene. You got to check out all of her great stuff that's out there at the TVRatingsGuide.com. In fact, the TVRatingsGuide.com brings you a lot of great information on the TV world when it comes to ratings news, original programming, also as well some great reviews and so much more. It is my good friend. It is a brand new, spanking new graduate, and we do want to congratulate her officially out there. It is Jessica Boggs. What's up, my friend?
It feels great to be back, but
Yes.
it still feels super weird that I'm a graduate. So.
You are a fellow new graduate like I am, although you actually earned it. I don't know. Maybe there was rumors of me kind of, blackmail and bribes going on to get mine. I don't know. People seem to think you actually earned your degree. People seem to scratch their heads when it comes to me, but you know what? I know you worked very hard for it. I heard constantly on Twitter your rantings and ravings, and all that. So I'm just so happy for you that you graduated, and I wish you continued and amazing success out there. But you're here to talk TV with me, and there's a lot of stuff going on when it came to the TV Upfronts last week. Let's start off with ABC. We're going to go ahead and start off with renewals first. We're going to talk about shows that people are out there were interested and worried if some were going to be cut, some were going to be canceled, some were going to be shortened, some were going to be renewed and extended. We're going to start off with the renewals first. Let's go ahead and start off with ABC, and we're going to be touching on mainly the broadcast networks because most of the major decisions, both good and bad, were done by the major networks right now this past week. Okay, Jessica, what were some of the renewals that were going on at ABC?
Some of the renewals, first with the in-house productions, I was a little surprised about Single Parents and Bless This Mess and Blackish getting some of the renewals, although Blackish was earlier because of the Mix-ish hiccup.
Yeah, and that was actually a spin-off that's been ordered to series by ABC, correct?
Yes. And the reason why I was a little surprised because some of these shows, like, they're on the low-rated ABC Tuesday, and Single Parents is like the lowest rated out of the Wednesday lineup.
I know there was a certain renewal from ABC in that, what is it, that same comedy lineup that wasn't beloved by everybody because there was a renewal that you want to talk about, I think, that got social media ablaze because a certain individual on one of those shows was really not too happy.
That would be Fresh Off the Boat, because Constance Wu complained.
Well, that's because she had a project that she had to turn down because of the renewal of the series. So it's basically now that she now that she's really garnered a higher echelon of fame because of what happened with Crazy Rich Asians and this tremendous success of that movie. She's been now asked to be part of many projects that are out there, some that maybe wouldn't have been afforded to her in years gone by. So she was really, I think, looking forward to this type of project. She didn't say what it was, but be that as it may, because of the steady job that she had with Fresh Off the Boat, it was nice that she had that buffer, but she probably wanted to go ahead now that she had the fame from Crazy Rich Asians to go ahead and move on to bigger and better things. But unfortunately, she couldn't move on to bigger, better things as much as she would like because it was picked up for another season.
Well, yeah, like in addition, like one of these projects that she was working on was the sequel to Crazy Rich Asians, and that's expected to be a major hit too.
I
But
still
until
think she'll
COVID,
be. I still think she'll be able to work on that. But I think anything else, I think that's probably going to be a little bit tough for her.
I agree. But back to Fresh Off the Boat. It was not much of a surprise, but it was low rated at first, and then it became acceptable for a Friday, though.
That's true. And then there were other shows that were picked up by the network. What were some of the surprises to you as far as some of the renewals that were picked up? And are there some shows that are still out in limbo out there when it comes to ABC?
Well, most of the decisions have been pretty much picked up already. Well, the summer shows have not been picked up yet because they haven't aired yet. Whiskey Cavalier was recently decided to be a cancellation, but we're going to stick with the renewals for now. But I was also pretty surprised with the rumored final season of How to Get Away with Murder, as it was low rated pretty much all year, but apparently it had the international sales making a profit.
And this is something I've talked to you about previously with other shows like Elementary that had this huge syndication deal, or like you said, international sales that just really expound upon the show much more than the mediocre or tepid ratings it just gets in here in the United States. So it's always something that they look at, aftermarket, after airing shows, the plus sevens and all that. They look at a barometer of exactly how well a show is doing. It's not just such a cut and dry thing like in the past, whether in the past it was just, okay, is it getting a good rating or is it not getting a good rating? It's now something that they're looking at a total broad spectrum of things before they go ahead and make the decisions. Anything that's going on with CBS as far as renewals, because it seemed like they picked up a lot of the familiar shows that everybody loves out there, including one renewal that for a very controversial show, or actually has a very controversial lead actor, with with the studio leaving it after it got picked up by CBS.
Well, Bull was one of the renewals, and I was not really surprised, but kind of surprised at the same time. But I kind of expect it to be in somewhat of a Scorpion type mess next season, because usually CBS shows usually don't get canceled after season 3, especially if they have at least 66 episodes.
And the fact that it will be no longer co-produced by Amblin Entertainment, Steven Spielberg's company announced that it will be parting ways with the other production company responsible for Bull. That was announced shortly after its renewal, if I'm not mistaken. And I think that stems from the lead actor in Bull, unfortunately, having troubles that his big mouth, basically, for all intents and purposes, caused a lot of pain and a lot of money that CBS lost in having payout in lawsuits. So his poor decision making led to somewhat of a financial tricky situation. And it was kind of surprising to me that show got renewed because of his statements and the subsequential payout that CBS had to give because of it. So I guess like right now we'll have to wait and see what goes on with Bull. Is it going to be like a lame duck season for Bull? But like you said, that 3-season cut line with 66 episodes, that might have superseded everything when it came to Bull. But any other news out there when it comes to renewals? Because I know there was a lot of there's a lot of shows that people just go in a routine and watch when it comes to CBS, including a lot of NCIS.
Oh yeah, that got renewed too. And also on CBS, Tom Selleck said something about the Blue Bloods renewal after it got renewed for season 10, a historic 10th season. And he apparently commented that, why didn't he get a separate announcement? Uh, Type of thing. And it was part of a mass renewal deal.
Yeah, everybody's looking for something. I'm telling you. Yes, it is. It is a 10th season for Tom Selleck. I guess he wanted to go ahead and be immortalized in some fashion because the show Blue Bloods has reached some historic levels and whatnot. But you know what? When it comes to CBS, and they've got so many of the same shows you've seen year in year out that are enjoyed by audiences. Hey, there's a tendency to get lumped into the group there when it comes to all the shows at CBS. But were there some surprises when it comes to CBS as far as some of the shows that were picked up, or do you see just the same old when it comes to CBS and the renewals that they gave?
Somewhat of a same old type thing. But
Okay.
the series pickups, we'll go into that a little bit later.
Fair enough. Fair enough. And when it comes to the series pickups for Fox, was there anything surprising? Because I know the Orville was of great conversation, especially after another show got dismissed, which we'll talk about a little bit more detail later. But one of the shows that got a higher rating got dismissed, but the Orville still remains in flight, going into deep space for I'm assuming, another abbreviated season 3.
Well, yeah, the Orville did get renewed, but Lethal Weapon got canceled. And that is because of controversy with like Damon Wayans. And
Damon Wayans.
yeah, and that's part of it. And it was also pretty much on a low rated Tuesday night. And that's also produced by an outside studio, such as Warner Brothers. And Fox was not making any money on it.
Those are usually some details. There's usually some details there. And then also, when it comes to the controversy between the lead actors over the years, and they had to switch out the lead actor of one of the lead actors of the series and all that. Yeah, it just became too problematic maybe to keep alive as far as Lethal Weapon for season 3. But I also know Star getting canceled as well caused a little bit of ire out there, especially because they thought it was getting decent enough ratings to go ahead and stay alive. But we'll talk a little bit more about that in the cancellations part of the episode. Now that we're going to go ahead and over to NBC as far as cancellations are concerned, as far as renewals are concerned, what renewals were there at NBC of note that you really think should people need to know about? Because I know the Chicago shows, you loop them all in a bunch when they're there, so I guess you got to go ahead and either cancel them or you renew them as a group. But there's also a show out there that's very well known and very well beloved by people that not only got a season pickup but also got a 3-season pickup instead.
That would be This Is Us, which means This Is Us, after its 3rd season, we'll have 6 seasons total.
And I think that'll probably be it for them. I have a feeling that was made with the intent of its story arc completing after 6 seasons.
And yeah, and there was a lot of talk on it going down to the wire. It was one of those shows that went down to the wire because of the multi-season renewal in its deal with like 20th Century Fox that recently became a Disney production. And there was also talk that it would move to ABC, which that's not the case today.
Absolutely. Yeah, they're staying on NBC for 3 more seasons, barring any unforeseen changes. It looks like it's still a great success story for the folks at This Is Us. But again, Chicago shows did get all picked up, if I'm not mistaken, as well.
They did. It was before, and Law and Order SVU. It was before all the renewals happened.
what other shows at NBC got picked up that you think people should know about?
There was the final season of Blind Spot. Blind Spot did get renewed for a fifth and abbreviated fifth season, but it's not going to be on the fall schedule next year. And we all thought Blind Spot was going to get canceled.
Well, it looks like they want to go ahead and close out the story arc or hit a certain number of episodes. It looks like that NBC wants it to hit. Is there any other shows that got picked up by NBC that you think people need to know about?
There was the renewal of, as we already discussed, Brooklyn Nine-Nine, but that's only getting 13 episodes, and that's not on the fall schedule.
What about a show? I know Superstore got renewed early, but that's for a full season, correct?
Yep.
Okay. I know that there was some question because the fluctuating ratings of Superstore as per Brooklyn Nine-Nine in that same time slot. So it looks like going forward that there's some good things up ahead for both those series, especially Brooklyn Nine-Nine, which was once dead in the water when it comes to what went on at at NBC. Excuse me, what went on at Fox. Another show that got moved over, and quickly before we go ahead into the CW, and I forgot to mention at Fox, was Last Man Standing. Could you update those that with the status of Last Man Standing? Because I think a lot of people who enjoyed it so much on ABC were so disheartened when it got canceled. Were delighted to hear the news that got picked up at Fox. It has seen some type of success at Fox, so give it the latest and greatest on what's going on with Last Man Standing.
Last Man Standing, like after we forgot to cover this in the April update, but it was renewed for an 8th season on Fox.
And same thing goes for 911, which saw tremendous success out of the gate, but has not been able to sustain and hold it as much as a lot of people thought. 911 still was picked up for another season, correct?
It was for season 3.
Okay, fair enough. Last but not least, what I want to cover when it comes to the renewals is your friends at the CW.
Yes, they renewed everything.
Pretty much everything. I mean, there were still 2 shows that Supernatural, and which other show was ending its run?
Arrow.
Yeah, Arrow. That's right. The Arrowverse is going downhill with a bullet, or should I say, with an arrow? But it is with the CW. They're just like a blanket. When they just approve everything. When they just renew something, they renew them all. It's seemingly so. All the shows get renewed, and not very much in the way of cancellations at all, from what I remember with the CW.
Well, yeah, it's becoming the new. Let's give a final season to the shows that are not being as profitable type network. So, although that could change, it's been the most unpredictable network all season.
And why stop now? Why stop now? But yes, it is the CW, with the only shows being affected are, again, Arrow and Supernatural ending out their seasons, ending out their series, but they get a chance to end out their series no matter what low ratings that they have. And yes, it's kind of weird because the CW does have some of the lowest performers on broadcast television, yet gets a blanket renewal regardless. If I was one of those shows that just recently got canceled, I would be knocking on the door of the CW to try and keep my show alive there. But that's just me. I mean, I know a lot of these shows and producers and production companies try to lean towards Hulu and Netflix and all these other streaming services. If they get cut, you know what? I'd be on the CW right away, because they may want to pick you up with whatever ratings you get. But speaking of ratings, there were a lot of cancellations as well that were officially done over the course of the past few days. And we'll start off once again with ABC. What were some of the cancellations that were done, and which shows got the axe at ABC?
Well, the most surprising one that I kind of knew it was coming, but probably would have been done a season later, Speechless.
That was canceled after season 3, correct?
Yep, with 62 episodes. ABC gave it the happy endings, suburgatory type treatment and canceled it. And that was because it got terrible ratings.
Then it's, to me, it's not too surprising if that's the case, because it was in season 3, but if the viewership really skyrocketed down, really drifted down in year 3, then you know what, it's time for it to go. I know there were a lot of other shows and cancellations that ABC made. Some of the shows we didn't mention that got picked up, The Rookie and some of the other shows that were there. But what were some of the shows that got canceled at ABC?
Whiskey Cavalier was just canceled today after some WB wrangling. And For the People got canceled. Though, and there was one other show that got canceled. Splitting Up Together was a cancellation.
Any others to note as far as ABC is concerned?
Also on ABC, we have the Kids Are All Right was canceled by ABC. The Fix was canceled after a single season. Pretty much. And
Okay.
For the People got canceled by ABC. One thing I did also forget to mention on the renewal side was Grey's Anatomy. A lot of it was done to get Grey's Anatomy renewed for 2 more seasons.
Absolutely. I heard that, and obviously for that long running show, it's a great sign for the fans that follow it. So like we said, it's just still a lot of great things going on at ABC, and that starts off with Grey's Anatomy getting 2 seasons. I mentioned earlier The Rookie getting another season picked up, but yes, there was a lot of cancellations that were made as well towards ABC that a lot of people were not too happy about, and Whiskey Cavalier was one of those. Just very disappointing news for those following that show in its inaugural season. But you know what? You're going to see Laurie Cohen, boom, right back into The Walking Dead. So nice that you can have this other job right there waiting for you to come back to. But you know what? You never know. The Walking Dead producers could be so mad at her, they might just kill her off in 3 episodes. But you never know. I'm just calling it right now. But there is a lot to talk about when it comes to cancellations of some of the shows that are out there. CBS didn't renew everything. It did see some cancellations. One of them was a revival that was heavily promoted that people just didn't want to watch.
Not surprised on Murphy Brown, because Murphy Brown did not get an extra episode pickup, and neither did Happy Together. So they were officially canceled. Fam got canceled too. And what is also pretty surprising, I did not see any drama cancellations, but the cancellations were mostly on the comedy side, as far as I know.
I don't think that's so surprising for me. I know CBS loves its 1 hour, 1 hour slot filler, 1 hour time filler shows. They love those dramas. They fill up an hour for them. They seem to love that back to back to back drama nights, whether it's NCIS filled, whether it's filled by FBI or law enforcement type deal. It's just, it seems like they love those period dramas, one after another, and almost seemingly, if it's not the Big Bang Theory related, it just seems like any sitcoms that they put out there seemingly get in the way of their schedule, and it's something that they don't really push behind or promote very well outside of the Murphy Brown show that they tried out, that they really promoted heavily, which did not connect with audiences.
I think also we have a Life in Pieces, that another 20th century / Disney production that got canceled on CBS after 3 seasons.
That's a shame. That's a shame that that met its untimely end. I know a lot of people like that show as well, but you know what? With CBS, I don't think it has a high tolerance for comedies. I think it just goes. It's like a
Well,
revolving
it was 4
door.
seasons.
I'm
It was
sorry.
4 seasons. My bad.
It,
It was 4 seasons.
okay, and
The
then
4th one was abbreviated.
okay, fair enough, fair enough. But yeah, it does not have a CBS does not have a high tolerance for its sitcoms. It seems to be like a revolving door for many of its sitcoms in order to get it just, I guess, some type of variety. But to me, like I said, their focus is heavily on their 1 hour dramas. When it comes to Fox, I know there was some cancellations. We talked a little bit earlier about the Lethal Weapon cancellation, but there also were some other cancellations, including, like I said earlier, I think I mentioned it, and including, like briefly alluded to earlier, Star, which had, I thought, decent enough ratings to make it, but unfortunately, Fox felt otherwise.
Well, yeah, the reason why it got canceled was because it did not have the international sales or the expenses to justify having a 4th season. That's one of the main reasons. And filming in Atlanta is pretty expensive.
I I gotta disagree with you because their tax laws are meant to go ahead and save people, production companies money. I understand that there was an issue there with the political rights that are getting a lot of production companies possibly out of that state, but
Oh, yeah.
their tax laws are instead intended to draw companies in, like The Walking Dead and so many other productions. In fact, Marvel did a lot of stuff there as well because the fact it saves a lot of companies money due to the tax savings. I think up to 30% is what they get.
Yeah, I'm about to clarify that. Especially with Star, though, I don't know if it got a tax credit, but what I can remember is that it wasn't making enough in international sales to be profitable for a 4th season.
Yeah, you're right. A lot of it is now based off and I alluded to this earlier. It's based off of a broad spectrum, not only just what it garners here in the United States, but what it does overseas, what it does day after airing, and all that. So there's a lot of things to think about, and obviously that was one of the reasons why Star unfortunately met its untimely end. Were there any other shows, or were there any other cancellations at Fox that really got really got notice of by a lot of people out there as far as being given the axe by Fox?
Um, I was not surprised by Proven Innocent. But I was somewhat surprised with the Cool Kids getting canceled, and ultimately it had something to do with space. Fox ordered more comedies for next season, and ultimately that kicked out the Cool Kids. And it was doing fine on Friday, even on declining ratings. But ultimately WWE and the fact that it ordered more comedies for Fox really caused a cancellation on the Cool Kids.
Ah, the WWE, I tell you, they're going to be quite an enigma when it comes to Fox. I want to see how this works out. I'm excited for it, not because I'm a pro wrestling fan. I'm going to be honest with you. To me, it's like a car accident that you drive by that you can't help looking at, because the ratings for WWE has steadily declined over the years, and in this past 12 to 18-month period, they have achieved some record lows on cable. So it will be interesting to see how much Fox tolerates that if that audience isn't there for it on Friday nights. So I don't know. You and I are going to be having some conversations on the WWE down the road coming up this fall, and possibly by around the time the end of the year happens. And they're going to be interesting indeed. Like I said, as a pro wrestling fan, I'm rooting for WWE SmackDown to do well on Fox, but I'm not holding my hopes up. But then again, if it gets canceled, it can just go right back on USA or Sci-Fi. So it always has a home somewhere.
Or go on Fox Sports 1, though.
Well, actually, that would be tough because it's now the Fox Sports networks that were sold to Disney. Disney had to sell them off as per as per what FCC regulations require, and they sold it off to the Sinclair Corporation. So we'll have to wait and see how that works out. So they may not have a home on the Fox Sports networks as much as people would say they would, because of the fact that Sinclair is in the process of purchasing all those regional Fox Sports networks. What were your thoughts on what's going on with NBC and the cancellations of many shows that were there that kind of surprised you? Or maybe actually none were a surprise?
I don't think it was a surprise for either one of them with the comedy aspect. I was not really surprised with them because they were all low rated on NBC.
What were some of the shows that were canceled on NBC?
I Feel Bad, Abby's, AP Bio. There were not that many cancellations that I can think of. But
I already made that joke on a previous show, previous interview between you and I on I Feel Bad, so I won't go there with I Feel Bad.
Bless this mess. And then, but NBC ordered way too many shows.
Well, we'll pick up that here in a second as far as some of the series pickups are concerned. And you mentioned, and we talked about the CW not really canceling anything, and they're just picking up everything. And the two shows that were affected, Arrow and Supernatural, are allowed to get closures for their series arcs and whatnot. So when it comes to what's going ahead, as far as before we go ahead into any series pickups that meet your interest, that pique your interest, we're going to be talking about quickly. We're going to talk about quickly what's going on with cable and your thoughts on the cable scene that's out there. Anything interesting as far as cancellations or pickups or anything going on in the world of cable?
Well, on TBS, Angie Tribeca was recently canceled. That was a cancellation on TBS, and part of it has something to do that it got low ratings and it got the burn-off treatment on TBS.
That's a shame because I kind of liked that show. I thought it had a little bit of style and it was kind of different from some of the other shows that were out there. It's a shame to see that it was a shame to see that it was, if I can say that right, it was a shame to see that show go. But are there any other shows in cable or anything out there that was either picked up or let go that people need to know about?
Well, and there's also, there was not that many that I would probably talk about because cable is a different timetable schedule than all the broadcast networks. But we do have some shows that are coming up. Especially since Game of Thrones is ending. As Game of Thrones is ending, there are other shows that are coming up. With Fear the Walking Dead is coming up on AMC.
And to me, that's going to be interesting where that one lies because it's been the little brother and the little sister to The Walking Dead for quite some time. And you and I have both noted the dramatic fall in ratings of The Walking Dead over the past 5 years. And Fear the Walking Dead, which has not even garnered anywhere close to the ratings of The Walking Dead. It'll be interesting to see where this show lies and if it gets another season beyond that.
Yeah, and there was also talk about Better Call Saul ending after apparently after 6 seasons though, but it's not even official. Whereas right now the show has been renewed for a 5th season, which is planned to premiere in 2020.
Okay, fair enough. Once again, indeed, I'm with Jessica Boggs from the TVRatingsGuide.com. You got to check out all the great stuff, that she's doing there at the TVRatingsGuide.com. You got to check out all the great articles, all the great news updates, the original programming that they have, especially for fans of the TVRatingsGuide.com. You got to check out her work and all the other great staff that's out there at the TVRatingsGuide.com. Well, before we head on out, there were a lot of series pickups for all of the networks that were done. Because they canceled some shows, there were ones that they need to pick up in its place. Are there any that pique your interest right off the bat? Are there any that you think have hit making potential, or are there some that look like they're already DOA?
We're going to start with ABC, and ABC picked up Baker and the Beauty. They took Emergence from NBC, and they picked up United We Fall and For Life. And they had a record low of 4 shows that got ordered. And it was because the new regime on ABC and the new ABC president and the president overall, they did not like any of the pilots from the previous regime. And so they pretty much punted on pilot season.
And so they punted on a lot of stuff. Were the other networks interested in some shows? Since they punted on a lot of stuff, there were that left a lot of room for other networks to pick up some other shows. What were some of the more interesting aspects of shows that were picked up by CBS, NBC, Fox, any of the even the CW? What were some of the interesting pickups that were made?
With CBS, we got a Chuck Lorre sitcom coming to series called Bob Hart's Abishola, or Abishola. I can't pronounce the name. And then there's The Unicorn, which is interesting to say the least. Like, what's a show about a unicorn doing on CBS when there's all those cop shows?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's something different from the norm. So we'll see how that tracks when it comes to people watching that type of show on a CBS platform, because shows that are off the beaten path for CBS, they have a tendency to stick out like a sore thumb, and it's not necessarily in a good way for those type of shows, because people are looking for a certain type of thing. That's why so many of the same types of shows get picked up and renewed year after year by CBS. So it will be interesting to see how that plays out at CBS. Are there any other series pickups at all that interest you, or think that are or that are there any that you think are going to be just failures right out of the get-go?
CW recently picked up Katie Keene and 2 other shows, the Nancy Drew pickup, and I cannot remember the other name of the CW show that got picked up. Batwoman. Yeah, that was under the tip of my tongue.
That one is going to be very interesting, how that plays out, because of the sexual orientation of the main character, and the fact that it's intended to create some I don't want to say controversy, but create some conversation. And I think it'll be very interesting to see how that plays out. I'm excited to see that type of show get onto the air, and I'm wishing it all the best, because of the fact that it is different and it wants to be different right out of the gate.
I think it's going to do somewhat pretty well for the CW. Not so much on the linear part as much, but in the streaming aspect of the CW. Whereas I think Nancy Drew is probably not going to do well out of the gate as long as it has but it's going to probably have some type of dynasty deal that would probably allow some breathing room on CBS shows. Whereas Katie King, that's not going to do well. Riverdale's ratings are falling off a cliff, and CW's just recently changed affiliates in Chicago for the third time.
Oh, that's never a good sign when it comes to, that's never a good sign when it comes to a major market such as Chicago. So we'll have to wait and see what goes on with many of these series, because I have a feeling we're going to be talking about many of these series not necessarily in a good light come December. By the time the end of the year happens, once those shows debut in September and October. Yeah, some of them we'll actually be talking about in a positive light, but I think for a great majority of them, and this happens with all of these television shows, the great majority of them do not see the sunlight after either their initial season or an abbreviated one when it comes to what is enjoyed and what is not so enjoyed by the folks watching those major broadcast networks. All right, my friend, it's been great talking to you in regards to what's going on in the world of broadcast television and all the interesting news that took place this past week in the world of the upfronts. Do you have any last thoughts on the way out?
Well, moving on to Fox, we have an upcoming show called Filthy Rich, which is apparently the new companion to Empire. It has a lot of soapy elements to it.
Ah, okay. But I thought that's what Star was really all about. But then again, can I try it again? So, all right.
Well, yeah, televangelist edition.
Fair enough. Oh, that's just gonna that's gonna get the ire of somebody, I can tell already. But it is what it is.
Controversy sells. Sometimes.
Controversy indeed does sell. At least it gets a lot of attention, that's for sure. Once again, it is Jessica Boggs from the TV Ratings Guide. You got to check out her great work today at the TVRatingsGuide.com. That's the TVRatingsGuide.com. Make sure you put that "the" in there. Otherwise, you're going to get a page that's not found. It is the TVRatingsGuide.com, where they do a tremendous job of providing you the latest and greatest information on what's going on in the TV world, including broadcast ratings, news, updates, original programming and shows that you really got to check out, and so much more. It is the TVRatingsGuide.com. My friend, it's always great to talk to you on all the happenings going on in the world of television. I'm just so happy and I don't even know why I'm so happy, but I guess I'm so happy that the Orville got renewed, because that show in the second season has really started to grow on me. Maybe like a fungus, but it started to really grow on me. So, I'm happy that show I'm happy that show is going to find some amount of success. I don't guarantee it past season 3, but hey, you know what? It's there, and it's going to be back for another season, along with a lot of other great shows as well. My friend, it's been great talking to you. Any last thoughts on the way out?
No last thoughts, but let's hope some cable shows are getting renewed, and let's watch all the summer shows to see who's getting renewed and who's getting canceled.
And we'll be talking about that in our June update. Plus, I'm keeping my fingers crossed for Deadly Class, because I think that's a good enough show that should get stuck. That should stick around. I'm hoping. Fingers crossed. All right, my friend. It's been great talking to you all. It's been great talking to you as always. It's Jessica Boggs once again for the TV Ratings Guide. We're just so happy to have her part of our show, part of our listening experience, and part of us here at the Pop Culture Cosmos.